My brain's splitting off in so many different directions. My brain's splitting off in so many different. My brain's splitting off in so many different directions that no one has the answers to. My dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? Questions that no one has the answers to.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I are currently going through the X-Statix series. We're in X-Statix versus the Avengers, and we're in the last 3 issues. We're covering episode 20, issue number 24 today. Mr. Sensitive versus Iron Man, which I'm excited to talk about because I think this is a hysterical issue with a lot of really, really good jokes in it. And the return of a famous X-Statix villain.
Yeah. No, it's not Mr. Code. We don't get to find out who he was. But it is this is the funniest issue of this comic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the funniest. And it starts with like the cover even. Like they've had this, like, you know, the X-Statix using non-conventional weapons against the Avengers, but just Mr. Sensitive coming to throw an anvil onto the head of Iron Man in front of the Eiffel Tower is just very, like, this is a good image.
Yeah.
This is very funny to me.
It is extremely funny. And I don't like, especially because I almost called him Ant-Man, especially because Iron Man just seems to be like looking around, like, where am I? What's going on? Like, he doesn't quite know where he is. Like, he just woke up from like a afternoon nap. Dude, like he slept a little too hard.
So good. Let's get into it. There's a lot to talk about in this issue.
Let's do it.
Unlike the other ones, this is not 2 fights split up. This fight is the whole issue.
Yeah. And just a reminder for the folks at home, if you haven't, send in your feedback. daysoffuturecast.com/contact. All of your thoughts and prayers, I guess, about X-Statix.
Yeah. We'll do what we can.
Mm-hmm. So
this starts off, you know, like this is a lot of Peter Milligan reading Wikipedias for things, I think, in this arc, because he read this thing about heretical sects in southern France. You know, so it starts with the history of this castle, you know, talking about the Cathars and the different, the Gnostics, stuff like that there. And he's, you know, this is through history. There are all these medieval, like, different wars over this until now. There's a new religion, the Church of the Naked Truth, which are nudists.
Yeah. Just a bunch of naked people. And they are, you know, kind of peacefully praying nakedly when both Iron Man and Mr. Sensitive just come careening into their peaceful, like, abode.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Just punching each other in the air. You know, they land, and a lot of this is going to be like dialogue between the two of them that I think is pretty consistently funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then also pretty good character work, I think, for Mr. Sensitive. You know, there's a lot of like good barbs.
Yes.
Here. Iron Man trying to get into Mr. Sensitive's head. You know, I liked you better when you were in X-Force. And Mr. Sensitive says, you should have written a letter of complaint. He says, I did. I signed it, a disappointed X-fan. You know, just fucking with him. You know, the Avengers have been at this long enough to know they can trick these guys. And as they're fighting, they notice everyone is naked.
Yeah. Yeah. They're kind of in the middle of their fight. They realize, like, oh shit, like everybody is naked, and why? And then they still, you know, they're gonna keep going back and forth a whole lot. Mr. Sensitive's making fun of Iron Man's, like, quote unquote scrap metal, which of course he says cost $5 million, and I could buy your puny team and all this other stuff. All is very extremely funny, like can opener lines, like all of this stuff is just really, really good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Eventually, Iron Man introduces the concept that'll end up being important, where he says, you know, Captain America ran a psychological profile on you. You know, it suggests that you don't really want to be the leader of this kind of team, this postmodern fame-obsessed team. You want to be, you know, old-fashioned shoot first, ask questions later outfit like X-Force. You wish you were Cable. You know, and just, you know, like this fucks up Guy Smith. We switch over to his internal narration where he's like, oh, that profile is wrong. He's like, or is it? How happy am I being? You know, it's like in the middle of this fight. Very, very good.
Yeah, all of this is, like, again, just extremely good. And, like, the old man from this comes out to interrupt them. It's like, hey, you know, in the name of the naked truth, stop this fighting. Or at least if you're going to fight, take your clothes off.
Yeah. Near, the new Jesus that they have here, who shows up. And, at first they're not going to do it. He says it's offensive until they eventually says, I have the brain, with me. And I will give you that information, whoever wins this fight, but they had better be naked as the day they were born. So they're like, okay, well, this is the rules. We cut over to the, new Jesus watching from window with who else but Surrender Monkey.
Yep.
Remember from the Eurotrash team. And he's, he says like, relax, these guys, he's trying to convince new Jesus to keep the brain.
Yeah.
He's like, the monastery is going to need money at some point, and these guys are not going to go through with it. The thing that scares these suit guys most is being naked, like being without their crutch.
And it's, and it's funny because, the guy mentions like, it'll be worth one hell of a lot of money. And then, naked Jesus is like, it's funny you mentioned hell because I can't feel like we might be headed that way when we just sneaking up all the time and putting on each other's clothes or whatever. And like Surrender Monkey tossed him some pants and a shirt as he's like, just, secretly putting on a dress shirt or whatever. It's very hilarious.
Yeah. The idea of this being the taboo, one of the acolytes comes up trying to tell everybody about the, seeing these people in clothing has caused a crisis in faith. Of the people. They're saying like maybe sometimes it's okay to be dressed. He says this could be as damaging as the underpants schism of 95, which I love. And he busts in on Surrender Monkey and new Jesus wearing clothes. It's very scandalous. And we cut over to Iron Man and Mr. Sensitive, and they're like basically doing, I'll do it if you do it. Mr. Sensitive says, what would Cable do? I'm not Cable. I'm Mr. Sensitive. I don't want to hurt these people's feelings or disrespect their religion. And they strip naked. And this is the comic where you get to see Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man kids, naked fighting like an antenna pink guy. So
I just go the idea, like when they square up immediately, like because Tony Stark is in like that classic American like boxer pose. Whereas Guy Smith is doing like he's got his palms out. He's kind of got this weird stance, like he's got to go do some weird like jujitsu stuff, some judo or whatever. Like it's just right then I'm already cracking the fuck up, right? Like it's extremely funny.
It's so good. Like the next little bit, they're talking about what their individual weaknesses are. Mr. Sensitive is like, without my suit, I'm sensitive to everything, even the wind. And Tony Stark's like, I hope my heart holds out. I'm a little clammy, but that's probably just my brain. They're talking about this thing, and they go through and they both touch each other's hands here, which Mr. Sensitive, it hurts really bad because he's sensitive, and Tony Stark because Mr. Sensitive has like pressure point technology. And then my favorite panel in the series is Mr. Sensitive going, my skin, and Tony Stark going, my heart, and then both falling down.
It's extremely good.
I love it, dude.
And just these two naked guys like barely touching one another and then like yelling with pain. And then, like as he gets like, as they collapse and Mr. Sensitive like gets a little closer and like taps his foot, which causes some other like huge damage or whatever. Like, and Tony Stark responds by throwing grass at him, and he's just like, no, grass. Stop.
A handful of grass, which like makes his jaw feel broken.
Extremely hilarious.
He's tapping him. He's putting pressure on his liver and all these things that he hurt himself with from his days of drinking. They get interrupted as they're doing this by all the nudists bringing out Surrender Monkey and nude clothing Jesus. Basically, and there's a little wink here where he's like, "Oh, that's Surrender Monkey. We fought them when we were hired to kill a back from the dead pop sensation Henrietta." And Tony Stark, didn't her name used to be? He's going to say Princess Di, of course. And the new Jesus says, stop these heretics, save us, and you can have the brain.
Yeah. And it turns out that Surrender Monkey is not actually a monkey. He is rogue CIA agent Brad Bentley. I meant to Google this, but I kind of ran out of time today. Is this like an actual dude that I don't remember from history, or is this like just a made up thing in the Marvel universe? Or
I don't think so. I think that they just used a name.
Yeah.
And the idea was that they, he says that he was there to, make people racist against France.
Yeah.
Basically. So he dressed as a stereotype on purpose.
Yeah, this is.
But he went native.
X-Statix is his only appearance in the 616. Like, he doesn't have any other appearances anywhere. So yeah, this is just made up. It just had like the ring of truth about it somehow. Like, I don't know why I was like, is this a thing? Is this real?
Mm-hmm. Very good. So he just, closing up that plot thread, not particularly. So they run forward. They're still kind of fighting, and they're like, "Hey, listen, the locals are making some exceptions with their clothing. Maybe we should as well." They want to get back into their suits really badly. They run back there, but Mr. Sensitive apparently has the upper hand. He did a time release pressure point on Iron Man, which knocks him out as soon as he gets in the suit. This panel of him laying down like a toddler,
dude.
You ever seen a kid like lay down like that?
Oh, absolutely.
Like this?
Like just collapsed all of his bones. Like, I'm just gonna plop with my ass in the air for some reason. It's so very hilarious.
It is so like tits down, ass up.
Mm-hmm.
This is how Iron Man likes to gup. Like it's so fucking like it's presenting in a way that is very funny to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
For just this iconic character. And then I love that it worked. Like Guy Smith is like, he's about to get teleported out. He has the brain, and Venus is there, and he asks her like, "Hey, what would Cable do?" So, "Well, Cable would take the fucking brain, you idiot." And he goes, "I'm not Cable. I'm gonna let you win this one." Just to gives Iron Man the brain just to prove he's not Cable.
Do you think that those the old Kathy comics where she would just be screaming ack. I kind of feel like that's Mr. Sensitive, but except for I'm not Cable. Just at the top of his lung. I'm not Cable.
I'm not Cable. It's not Gene. I'm not Cable. I love that getting into him though, because it's consistent with his characterization of wanting to, being the person who is doubting their like fame obsessed shitty version of themselves and kind of wanting to be a superhero, and the idea that Iron Man was able to key in on that and take advantage of it. Like Iron Man with the brain is flying away with Captain America, and he admits he lied about the psychological profile. I really like using that as a weakness against Guy Smith. Like it's very clever.
Especially because it works, and like he gives Iron Man the brain. And then later we find out that Tony Stark was lying about this whole thing, because Captain America is like, how did he just let you keep it? It's like, well, I told him about the psychological profile you made him. And he's like, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? He's like, exactly. So like all of this is just Tony Stark mind fucking this kid, and is extremely funny to me. I've really, this is the second time we've seen Tony Stark just completely lie to the X-Statix, and I'm fucking here for it. Like I think it's extremely funny.
Yeah. I really I like this version of like the clever Avengers. They've been here forever. They're like the oldest superhero team in the Marvel universe. Like they know the tricks. And we get the final scene is showing that this fight has caused new religious sects. And people are dressed up either as Iron Man or Mr. Sensitive, using this place as a place of battle.
It's very funny.
Very funny.
The what is it? The Ironist versus the Sensitivist. It's extremely good.
Extremely good.
And that's it. And the next issue will be the conclusion of the X-Men versus Avengers arc, because we're going to see how or if they are going to be able to save Dupe. I just want to throw this out there for people that may not know. For whatever reason, issue 25, it was not on Marvel Unlimited for me. You're saying it's still showing up for you. When I tried to
I got it right in front of me.
Yeah, when I go to it, it says like coming soon or whatever. Like it's really bizarre. So I had to go like spend $2 on Comixology to buy issue number 25. You
can also Google it if you want to. There are scans and stuff out there. Like nobody's really protecting this IP.
No, I'm sure not.
So it'd be very, very easy to get to, I think.
The only reason I didn't,
but know that it's a kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, the only reason I didn't do it is because like I couldn't find anything that didn't have all of the issues, and I was like, that's just clutter. I'd rather spend $2 for the one thing than get a bunch of stuff I don't need for free. So that's where my life is. It's a
$2 fee to not have that on your computer.
Exactly. Yeah. And I'm physically unable to delete files, so I have that kind of weird thing going for me.
It's a very specific carpal tunnel.
Yeah. If you want to hear more details about my very specific carpal tunnel, you should go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and give us some cash. That gives you exclusive episodes.
You get tunnel access.
Get carpal tunnel access. You get to the carpal tunnel tier, and I'll just whisper in your ear about all of my problems with my hands, which,
tendons.
Age.
Do that. And then also leave us ratings, reviews on Apple Podcast. We appreciate it.
Yep.
And join us on the Slack, all that stuff. And until next time, take care.
Take care, everybody. Bye.